All right, let's dive into a part of recovery that's absolutely critical, but, often gets overlooked. What happens for the entire family once the drinking actually stops?
It's so easy to see sobriety as the finish line, right? Like that's the end of the story. But in our experience, that's really just the beginning. So the question we really need to dig into is what comes next for everyone?
And this quote really gets to the heart of it. Getting sober isn't the final destination. It's just the very first step away from what was, let's be honest, a really strained and chaotic situation. The real journey toward a new, healthy normal has only just begun. Which brings us to this incredibly important idea, convalescence. It's not just the person who was drinking who needs to get well. After living in that kind of environment for so long, we found that the entire family is, in a way, ill. We're all recovering, and every single person needs the time and space to heal. So, where does that healing even begin? Well, the first major hurdle is often the hardest one. It's all about confronting the wreckage of the past. And there are always these ghosts hanging around, aren't there? The financial disasters, the friendships that were broken, the embarrassing moments, the deep humiliations. The urge is to just bury all of that, lock the door, and pretend it never happened. But what we've learned is that trying to build a new life on a foundation of secrets, well, it just doesn't work. But here's where we can completely flip the script on that painful past. What if all those awful experiences weren't just baggage? What if somehow they actually held immense value? So, the key, the real game changer for us is finding the willingness to actually face those mistakes, try to make them right, and turn them into assets. Real growth doesn't come from forgetting what happened. It comes from confronting it and using it for good. And this is the ultimate payoff. This is why we face the past. Because when we share our experience, how we hit bottom and how we started to recover, that dark, painful history becomes the very key that can unlock a new life for someone else. It goes from being our biggest shame to our most valuable possession. Of course, this path to recovery is never a straight line. There are all these tempting little detours. And it's pretty common for the newly sober person, and often its dad, to swing into some new extremes. We usually see this play out in one of two ways. On one hand, he might become a total workaholic, diving into business to make up for lost time. But in doing so, he creates a whole new kind of neglect. Or, on the other hand, he can get so wrapped up in his new spiritual life that he seems completely out of touch with his family's real-world needs. The intentions might be good, but either path can end up causing a whole new set of problems and resentments. So, why does all this new tension pop up? Well, often, after years of chaos, every single person in the family is, without even realizing it, trying to be the director of the show. Everyone's trying to arrange the family play to suit themselves, focusing on what they can get instead of what they can give. What we've learned is that the solution lies in everyone remembering that dad is still healing. He's still in that convalescence phase. When the family can genuinely feel grateful that he's sober, praise the progress he's making, and respond to his crankiness with some patience and love, those extreme phases, they usually pass. Okay, so once the family gets through the past and navigates those early extremes, how do you actually start building this new way of life? It all comes down to creating a new family structure, this time on a much, much stronger foundation. And this new structure is built on some really practical day-to-day things. Like, first, just acknowledging that family roles have to shift back to normal. Second, finding that sweet spot between helping other alcoholics and being truly present for your own family. And finally, and this is so important, realizing that it's a sign of strength, not weakness, to get professional help when you need it. And maybe the most important principle of all is this: recovery is not supposed to be some grim, joyless march. We absolutely insist on enjoying life. We've learned the hard way that cheerfulness and laughter, they aren't optional extras. They're essential for building a happy and useful life together. To help keep all this in balance while we're navigating this new life, we've come to rely on 3 simple but really powerful little mottos. First up, first things first. This is our constant reminder to keep sobriety and our spiritual well-being as the #1 priority, because, frankly, everything else depends on it. Then there's live and let live. That's our go-to for practicing tolerance and not getting worked up over the small stuff. And finally, easy does it. That's the one that reminds us to slow down, not get all strained, and not try to solve every problem in the world today. So we'll leave you with this to think about.
If the absolute worst parts of our past can be transformed into the very thing that helps someone else find a new life, what does that say about the hidden value inside our own mistakes, right here and right now?